outside of Citizens Bank Park, although the forecast says that it is clear and good to go for the first pitch of tonight's ball game. Now, this is the other side of the stadium. That looks a little clearer than what's happening over Center City. Man, these storms the last few days have produced some impressive skies. Take a look at the Brewers lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Segura, Lucroy, and Braun, followed by Gomez, Ramirez, and Parra. Jason Rogers, Hernan Perez, and Taylor Youngman. And the first pitch of the night from Cole Hamels is taken up high. It's 1 ball and no strikes. 8:24 is the official first pitch. Segura hits the next pitch foul. And with the wind blowing, that's going to take it to the back of the Hall of Fame club. He was 0 for 5 last night, hit into a double play. Officially, it's an hour and 19-minute rain delay, as you see the numbers for Hamels. That one's out towards second base, and Cesar Hernandez is up with it. And one away. Well, moments ago, this was a shot out in the outfield. Look at the lightning still flashing. That's not too far away. But again, the storm seems to be past us or going around us. Matt, let me introduce you to Cole Hamels.
Well, the scouting report on Cole Hamels. Average fastball 92.1. 5-pitch pitcher, and you can see the record 7-3 with a 3.71 ERA versus the Brewers.
That also doesn't include the playoff game where he went 8 innings and was outstanding. Struck out 9 during that playoff game back in 2008. Jonathan Lucroy, the batter. And Lucroy takes inside. It's 2-0. Say that everybody in the Garden State better get ready, because that storm's heading right over toward you. Lucroy's number is 235, a home run, 14 RBIs, and his numbers are rising because of what he did last night. He was 4 for 5 in the ball game last night. Brewers picked up 16 hits. Phillies had a 4-1 lead. They wound up losing it 7-4. There's a strike to the outside corner, 3-1.
Yeah, the Brewers last night, when they got a pitch, they did not miss it. Didn't pop it up. They hit everything for base hits and hit some doubles and home runs.
3-2. Lucroy spent almost a month on the disabled list with a broken left big toe. Since that time, he is hitting .271. Prior to that, his average was at 133. Three balls, 2 strikes. Way inside, ball 4. So he's aboard with a 1-out walk.
Well, time for our Nissan keys to the game, and key number 1 for me today is Hamels has to establish the fastball early. Count the strike zone, makes your pitches better. And Franco, same approach as last night. He had a deep fly ball to straightaway center. Carlos Gomez made a nice play, but have that thought process, left center, right center. He's been getting a little too pull happy. So we'll start using the big part of the field again.
He was joking around with Gomez about that catch prior to the start of this ball game. Ryan Braun takes way inside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Michael had a conversation with Gomez after joking with him about it. Over to the left side, Franco charges, and he tried to barehand it, and Braun will be safe at first. I wonder if he had a time to glove it and then throw. Braun does run fairly well. They're going to score that a base hit. Puts runners on first and second for Milwaukee.
Well, I think this is one of those plays that's do or die.
Oh, yeah, look at it spinning.
Spinning to the left. It's like a swinging bunt. Braun gets down the line pretty good. Right decision, just didn't get the grip on it.
So with runners on first and second, here's Carlos Gomez. 0 for 4 with a walk in last night's game. Curveball, he spins him. He almost lost his helmet again.
Last night he set a record. 5 at bats, didn't lose his helmet once.
If his body had tilted a little bit more, he would have lost it. That's a strike, 0-2. Sharply fouled on the first base side. Brewers commit to this ball game with 30 wins, 48 losses. They are 22 and a half games off the pace in the National League Central. Craig Counsell is the gentleman with his arms folded, walking toward the camera. He just fouled that one off his back foot. It's 0-2. I don't know. I don't know how he makes contact.
And when he does, he hits it far and hard.
He does.
My, that's an aggressive and a violent swing.
That one's into the Brewers dugout. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. Little dribbler in front of the mound. Hamels has it. Only plays to first, and there are 2 outs. 1-3 on the putout. Runners on second and third. And Aramis Ramirez is coming up.
Well, one thing in this situation right here, facing Aramis Ramirez, very aggressive hitter with runners in scoring position, as like the whole Milwaukee Brewers team. They love to look fastball first pitch and try to jump ship on it.
Hitting just .217 this year with 9 home runs and 30 RBIs. Way inside, 1 ball, no strikes. That's where he's missed with his fastball most of the time in this first inning. Actually, that may have been a cutter. 90 miles an hour. That was a fastball.
That's a good fastball. It's top of the strike zone. Ties him up. Even if he makes contact with that 94 mile an hour heater, he's going to break his bat.
Threw him a changeup right off that 94 mile an hour fastball, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, that's why I felt with the keys today with the Nissan key was if you establish that fastball in, out, up and down, it doesn't matter. That's what type of swings you get on the off-speed pitches.
Right.
It just makes his curveball and his changeup so much better.
Tried a curveball there, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Last night, Ramirez had a big hit coming off the bench.
Yeah, his first pitch. Bench hitting, hit the ball to right center.
One of the guys kept the comment.
Making that game 5-4 in that situation. So, like I said, he's very aggressive with the runners in scoring position.
And a line drive base hit into center field. 1 run is in, rounding third, heading for home is Braun. The throw to the plate cut off. A 2-run single for Aramis Ramirez, and the Brewers take a 2-zip lead. All these guys that were struggling coming in have found some new life in the first 2 games of this series.
Chooch was kind of setting up inside, and the fastball never got there. Ramirez being a very good fastball hitter, especially on a mistake pitch.
Here's Gerardo Parra. Parra was 2 for 4 last night. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Parra last night was leading off for the Brewers. Breaking ball as the runner goes, and Aramis Ramirez gets his first stolen base. It's a 26-pitch first inning for Cole. Six first inning runs, including the 2 tonight. He's usually pretty good in these first innings. Got him. Got it with a changeup. First strikeout for Hamels. Number 107 on the year. But the Brewers scored 2 on a 2-run single by Aramis Ramirez. Middle of the first is the Brewers 2 and the Phillies coming up.
Hey, Cole.
Go to the bottom of the first inning. Cole Hamels will catch his breath in the dugout. Let's take a look at the Phillies lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Revere, Hernandez, and Franco, followed by Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown, and Cody Ashe. In the bottom third of Carlos, Freddie Galvis, and Cole Hamels. And they'll face right-hander Taylor Youngman. Another big guy. Last night's starter was 6'6". He's 6'6". 25-year-old. Out of Georgetown, Texas, and the University of Texas. And he's a former #1 pick for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, he has a very good arm. You can see the fastball. 3-pitch pitcher. Tops out at 94. He throws his fastball 72% of the time. Curveball 24 and his change 3.3. The thing about him, though, is that he crossfires. He doesn't have that direct path towards the hitters, almost like a Jared Weaver yeah. With Anaheim. He crossfires. So it takes a little while to get used to picking up, 1, the ball out of his hand, and 2, the velocity.
Yeah, because Jared Weaver's in, mid to high 80s.
He's in low 80s now.
Low 80s now?
Yeah.
Whereas Youngman is in the 90s. Ben Revere takes a strike. It's 0-1 as we begin the bottom of the first. Revere 1 for 4 last night. Overall hitting .289 with a home run and 20 runs batted in. And quickly 2 strikes.
So this is his delivery. Everything right here is normal, but instead of striding right towards the pitcher, it's almost like about a 20-degree angle towards third base and crossfires.
Up high, and it's 1-2.
See right here. Is that my 20-degree angle?
I like that.
Like that right
I like
there?
when you throw a little math into it.
It's the only thing I was good at in school. That and phys ed and lunch.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Revere. And just a little low, 2-2. Youngman this year in AAA had an earned run average of 6.37. So somehow, Matt, he's parlayed that into a 2.74 ERA here in the big leagues. Ground ball to second base. Perez throws out Revere, one away. I guess he got the sense of being in the big leagues and said, I'm not going back.
Well, you go to the big leagues, you get an opportunity, you take full advantage of it. It's part of baseball, Tom. You can never figure this game out.
When you think you have, something else happens.
It'll bite you right now, you know where.
Here's Cesar Hernandez, who is 9 for 16 on this homestand. He's hit in 4 consecutive games. And the first pitch at the knees at 95. Last year, Youngman was 12-10 between AA and AAA. His numbers were much better. His ERA was 3.5. Drafted out of high school in the 25th round. Drafted out of college in the first rounds. Over to shortstop, Segura. I don't know if he would have gotten him anyway. Hernandez was hustling up the first base line. We alluded to that in the open, that he is moving.
He definitely has his legs underneath him, and that's one thing is you can't take that for granted this game. And it's a routine ground ball. I tell you what, he would have beat that. He would have been safe. You see the head down. Good hustle.
Oh, they've called it an E6. Would have been awfully close if that was a good throw. If Segura had played it better, if he didn't sit back on it, maybe. But I think the speed of Hernandez kind of freaked him out. That error is the 12th of the year for Segura. This is another guy you can run against. Lucroy has thrown out 10 of the 20 base runners that have tried to steal against him. Oh, he got him. A quick pickoff move, and Cesar Hernandez is out at first base. He doesn't think so. First base umpire is Adam Hamare. And Pete Buchanan is up on the top step. Take a look.
Perfect throw. I'll tell you what.
I think he's there.
Quick feet for a big man.
Yeah, I think he's there. It's awfully close. It's awfully close. Larry Boa on the horn. We'll take a look at it inside. This is reviewable because it is a tag play. I just didn't feel like it was
too close.
It was awfully close. The angle wasn't, didn't dictate that his hand was at the bag. See, his foot, the foot is blocking.
He tagged him. He's out.
Oh yeah, he's out.
He's out.
Yep. That's a good move. Maikel Franco takes inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, a good decision not to ask for a review because I don't know. A, it looked like he was out, but B, there may not have been enough evidence to show that he wasn't. Over to third, and Aramis Ramirez takes it on the short hop. That's a 10-pitch inning. Side is retired. No runs, no hits. Nobody left. There was 1 Brewers error. Let's clear it up. We'll go to the second. As Cole Hamels goes back to work, Jason Rogers will lead things off for the Milwaukee Brewers. They scored 2 on a 2-run single by Aramis Ramirez. First pitch is fouled away. Joining us up here in the booth is the director of pro scouting for the Philadelphia Phillies, Mike Ondo. It's his second visit up here to the TV booth, and Mike, would like to welcome you back.
Thanks, Tom. Matt, it's good to be back.
It's a busy time for all the scouts and the Phillies organization, particularly, and it would be even if the Phillies were in contention, but there's a lot of players to look at because there's possibly trades that'll be made sometime in the next several weeks, Mike.
Yes. You know, we're entering into that part of the year where on the pro side it gets pretty interesting. Finishing up coverage, finishing up the coverage, and starting to move around, and whether it be on potential trade targets or just honestly in preparation in the event something can and does happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talk about scouting players the Phillies could trade for, but there's also the coverage of just assessing other players and other organizations. That's what every team does. Right.
I mean, the main goal we have is to create the database of information so we can tap into it, whether it be for a trade, whether it be for a free agent, could be for a waiver claim, or a variety of different reasons. So to have a report from year after year after year after year to see how in the eyes of the scouts that the players either progress or decline is helpful, and it's just good to have that information available.
Fly ball foul. Ryan Howard will give it a look. It's out of play.
Speaking of reports and scouting on guys, and a big part of bringing in Herrera, Gomez, and Frenchie, Jeff Francoeur, what was the big thing that caught your eye on those three guys? You thought it would be a good idea to bring them over to this organization?
Well, if I'll start with in Odubel's case, obviously he was the Rule 5 pick. We were looking at, we viewed him a little bit more as a prospect in this situation, and we had some good information with him, having been playing on that winter ball team down in Venezuela this year with Jorge Velandia down there. So we were getting constant info on him. We liked his bat. And the prospect of him being able to stay out there and play center field. And then, in the case of a guy like Genmar Gomez, was a guy we've had, we've liked in the past, and he moving on his fastball, what he can do for your bullpen, the versatility he provides you. And then finally with Jeff Francoeur, you knew you were getting a good teammate, you knew you were getting a good person, and with where we were at, right-handed bat was something that, and outfield defense was something that were important things to add going into spring training.
Now, Mike, from a scouting standpoint, when you look at those guys, and I guess we'll separate it because Genmar Gomez and Francoeur, is the Youngman shows bunt, takes low, it's 1 ball, no strikes. Those guys, there's probably a long laundry list. All right, we've got these 20 guys, they could be possible players that could help us, let's say, going into 2016. You sort of rank them in what the team needs. Is that how it works?
Yeah, we rank them how they need. We have we go through the reports, we go through the information in the decision-making process. We see how they may be able to fit as either pieces of the actual major league roster, or how we see them fitting as depth for the organization, just to be there in the event of an injury, or if we were to need something were to happen and we were to need that player for 2-3 weeks. In our estimation, who has the ability to come up and we think can help, help through that period of time.
I know over the last several years you've kind of would oversee the Rule 5 stuff, and Odubel's part of it. Andy Oliver was part of it this year. Do you enjoy that part of it, going through the numbers and saying, all right, this guy could be a diamond in the rough if we give him a chance?
Yeah, the Rule 5 is always a fun time of year for me, and I think that's something that I've always felt that the Rule 5 is a situation where your coverage comes into play, because there's so many players that could be available in a Rule 5 situation that you need that database of information,
right,
from year after year to know who you think might be able to help, and then how they may fit with the major league club, and And ultimately, I think it comes down to the players well, because they're coming in with the deck stacked against them, and they have to prove themselves. And in Odubel's case, he did a great job of that from day one, and carried it through to the season.
Well, for a Rule 5, guys, I mean, it's a win-win situation. You're getting big league exposure. How often do you guys go out, and how much time do you spend looking at a guy like Herrera to make sure he is the proper fit?
Well, we try to get as many looks as we can. Herrera, we had a great opportunity to see him every day down in winter ball, so that was played a big factor.
Michael, we appreciate it as always, buddy. We will hopefully touch base with you again as the season moves on.
Tom. Thanks.
Mike Gondo, our guest up here in the booth. It was a good guess because the Brewers didn't score. We'll go to the bottom of the second, hoping the Phils will get some runs when we come back. Well, that's outstanding. The best source for breaking Phillies news is Comcast Sportsnet's Phillies insider, Jim Salisbury. That was a great moment in the press conference yesterday when Jim asked his first question. Jim did a very good job, a very good journalistic job investigating and trying to find out who the next president of the Phillies would be. And it just so happened it was Andy McPhail, and that's what Jim wrote a couple weeks ago. Andy acknowledged it. John Middleton acknowledged it yesterday during the press conference. Here's Ryan Howard to lead off the bottom of the second. Phillies trail at 2-0. Howard was 0 for 2 with a walk in last night's game. He was taken out of the game as part of a double switch midway through. Outside, 1-1.
First off speed we've seen. Last outing, Youngman threw 31 consecutive fastballs before he mixed in a curveball.
Now, do you think that's youth that Lucroy was trying to get him to establish that fastball?
I think if you're throwing a fastball and they're not putting good swings on it or putting it on the play, then why bother throwing anything else? Good location. He cuts the fastball sometimes because he gets across his body and he pulls it so much.
Inside, 3-1 to Howard.
That's a fastball that he happened to. He didn't cut that on purpose. He just ends up pulling it too much, trying to get it inside corner to a left-hander.
You can see the Jared Weaver comparisons, though, in the style. He's going to have to do a whole lot more winning to be compared to Jared Weaver overall. But you can see it. Jared Weaver, even Jeff to a certain extent. Although Jeff didn't crossfire as much as his brother.
No, not as much.
Three balls, 2 strikes to Ryan Howard as we begin the bottom of the second. And ball 4, Howard draws a walk. Toyota Major League scoreboard. The Nationals and the Braves are going at it down in Atlanta, and the Nats leading 5-0 in the top of the 6th inning. Denny Espinosa already 3 hits and 2 runs scored. The Nationals lead the Mets by 2.5, and they're starting to distance themselves from the Atlanta Braves, who are 6 games back. Outside corner. No balls, 1 strike to Dominic Brown. Yeah, there's a little difficulty picking up what he's throwing there.
There is. He hides the ball very well. It'll take one time through the order to get used to it.
Now the 0-2 pitch coming to Brown. Swing and a miss. He got him out front of a curveball. First strikeout for Youngman.
This is a very good curveball right here. He wants to drop it on top of home plate. Just behind it. There's Brown out in front of it. All it has to do with the 2 fastballs. The first one away, second one inside, speeding him up and throwing the curveball.
Well, Cody Ashley celebrating his 25th birthday today. Blake Trinan of the Nationals, 27. And Pat Venditti on the disabled list for the A's is 30. Happy birthday to Cody Ashley.
Now hit a home run.
Yeah, really. Make it a celebration.
Nice.
Tie this baby up. If he hits a home run, then Matt Stairs will get him an ice cream cake. A little low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Cody is 6 for 14 on this homestand. He's had a pretty good run trying to get his numbers up. He's at 249 right now. Still just 9 RBIs. That's just a remarkable number for him. And he rockets one into right field, a base hit. Howard will stop at second. Phillies have their first hit. Puts runners on first and second with 1 out. And Carlos Ruiz is due up.
It's a good swing by Cody. It's a fastball, gets a head in the count. Puts a nice swing on it and an absolute missile. Like you said, Tom, a rocket to right field.
Well, this man is due. He's due for a hit. He's 0 for his last 13, Carlos Ruiz. But he's just due for something special to happen offensively. Looks like he's made an adjustment with the hands that you talked about the other day with Schmitty.
He's lined up well right there. Must have heard the broadcast.
Ooh, hit by a pitch that'll load up the bases. Well, his hands didn't help him at all on that one, man. Well, the bases are now loaded. The tying run is at second base. And Freddie Galvis is coming up.
Wants a fastball inside and right in the thigh.
Luke Roy out to chat with Youngman. Today's Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Joyce Engel of Norristown. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game. Then Joyce will win $300. Adam Lamari, the first base umpire, just asked Carlos if he was okay. Ramirez in on the grass at third. That one's pulled toward first. They're coming home for 1. That's all the wind up. Ooh, it hit the runner. It's going to go into shallow right field. A run is in. Over to third is Ruiz. Galvis is safe at first. It's a 2-1 ball game. I didn't think Lucroy even had a play at first base, but after he released it, I thought, well, maybe he does.
And I like the fact that Michael Murrah, the home plate umpire, if you watch him, strong throw home. See Galvis running down the line. He's inside where he's supposed to be. Takes it right into 3. Mike DeMera gives the automatic safe sign, saying that he was in the right area.
Yeah, so there's no question about whether he interfered going up the line. So a fielder's choice, no RBI, and E2 to allow the run to score. And now Cole Hamels with a runner at third base and a runner at first. Hamels hitting a .143, 4 hits in 28 at-bats. And he hits that one off his hands over to short. Segura has it in time, and the side is retired. Phillies do get an unearned run here in the second, so they draw closer onto the third. They trail it 2-1. They just scored an unearned run in their half of the second. It'll be Jonathan Lucroy, Ryan Braun, and Carlos Gomez. Murph, these three guys, well, Braun has been hitting pretty well, but Lucroy hadn't been. Gomez hadn't been. But once they see the Phillies, there's a totally different story involved in it.
Well, you're absolutely right. And, you know, Jonathan Lucroy proved to be a tough out, as you mentioned, 4 for 5 last night. But, you know, if you've watched the Milwaukee Brewers over the last couple of weeks, you can start to see the guy that was the All-Star a year ago, a guy that, you know, was in the All-Star game for the Milwaukee Brewers in Jonathan Lucroy. He's improved his batting average about 110 points in the last 3 weeks. He's still getting those feet underneath them because, as you mentioned, injured early in the season with that broken toe, so he's just starting to get back into the swing of things. But I'll tell you what, his numbers against Cole Hamels, lifetime, a .462 hitter against Cole Hamels, 1 home run and 3 RBIs in 13 at-bats against him as well. He walked in his first plate appearance, but, you know, Cole Hamels has had his troubles against Jonathan Lucroy as well, and he's a guy that, you know, you look at the Brewers' record and you try to wonder why they aren't a better team when you look at their lineup. Well, one of the reasons is because this guy hasn't been playing up to his potential, but it looks like he's starting to now.
He's ahead 1 ball, no strikes. Now it's 2-0. Cole Hamels not pleased by that pitch. Lucroy, Murph said it, all-star, 53 doubles. 53 for a catcher. He's also batted leadoff this year. In fact, it's strange. The Brewers have gone through 7 different leadoff hitters at certain points here in 2015. He's led off twice. You don't hear of catchers often leading off for teams. In fact, the last time the Brewers had somebody lead off that was a catcher was Jason Kendall, who led off a lot in his career.
Yes, he did.
3 balls, 1 strike to Lucroy. Foul tip, or foul ball, I should say. It's 3-2.
I will say about Lucroy's swing, it's a very simple swing. Fastball away, he goes with the ball, very nice. Middle, up the middle, fastball in, he has quick enough hands to turn on it. Doesn't overswing.
That one's foul down the right field line. Nice catch off the carom by that gentleman. Three balls, 2 strikes. Another foul ball. Well, Cole's throwing him everything here, and he's seeing everything, at least a piece of it. People are ready to go up on the Hall of Fame club. Again, the 3-2 pitch to Lucroy, and he got him. Strikeout number 2 for Hamels. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, that'll bring Ryan Braun to the plate. And Braun is the subject of our cold hard fact, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. The highest active average against the Phillies at 401. Second is Carlos Gonzalez. Marcell Ozuna, in a short period of time, is among the leaderboard.
Hey, Braun, you're a cheater!
That one's down the right field line through the rain. Folks are going for a little cover. And it's 0-1.
James Loney's on that list.
James Loney, yeah. Phillies don't see him all that often anymore because he's with the Rays.
Cheater!
Inside, 1-1. And the 1-2 pitch. Well, he's late on it, but stays alive.
Cheater!
Well, I'm sure Ryan Braun hears that from time to time in different ballparks. And I'm sure he will hear that until he hangs up his uniform. And even beyond. 2-2.
I'm pretty sure he really doesn't care if people yell at him.
Yeah, probably not.
I see you, Braun!
Folks don't know what to do. It rains and then it stops, and then it rains again. Dominic Brown will play that one in a hot. And it's a 1-out single for Braun. That's his second hit of the night. It's his 5th hit in the series. And Carlos Gomez is coming up. Oh, tomorrow is the first 2 fireworks shows here at Citizens Bank Park, the Xfinity fireworks shows. Tomorrow's game is at 7:05. Thursday's game 6:35. Order your tickets for those two games by going to Phillies.com. Always a great display, and always was, even at the vet. Carlos Gomez grounded out his first time up.
Isn't it amazing, though, when you swing the bat so well versus a team? You can make very good pitches, and they still find a way to get knocks.
It has to be a confidence thing. I mean, doesn't it? When somebody's that good?
I don't know. I mean, it's confidence, luck. Get a fastball inside, you muscle it to right field for a base hit.
Another throw over. Well, he's now hit an 8 of 9. During that time, he's hitting over 450. Gomez takes way up high. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Gomez last year had Ryan Braun's kind of numbers against the Phillies. He had 394 against them. That one's the opposite way. Caught by Ryan Howard. They're signaling catch, and now they tag him. He did catch that, I thought anyway. And the second base umpire, Tripp Gibson, made the call. I'm not sure where Ryan was going. I think he was waiting for somebody to signal catch, and then finally the second base umpire did. Great reactions by Howard. Yeah, he caught it.
Oh, he caught it.
And now all he has to do is touch the bag. Instead, he wants to go for a little foot race just to make sure that Ryan Braun is tagged out. And we'll go to the bottom of the third. Fan section for all the information. Please submit your answer on the subject line. Matt, the question is, what two different positions did Robin Yount win an MVP? Answer will be revealed a little later on. Philadelphia water ice along the concourse. Folks have been here for a little while. All right, here's the play that ended the inning. This is a great shot to show that Howard caught it
just before it hit the dirt.
Yeah.
Proper call.
See, now Ryan Braun was running because nobody was signaling anything. You know, we looked to see, and then finally the second base umpire did signal, but Braun was already 10 feet off the bag. Craig Counsell did come out and say something to the second base umpire, but that's not reviewable at all. Top of the order, bottom of the third. And Ben Revere takes high and away, 1-0. Revere grounded out to second his first time up.
So, Tom, with the trivia, with the question,
Yeah.
you want me to tell you which left, center, or right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, left, center, or right.
One of them is in the outfield. Okay.
Right, one of them. Oh, was that what you're trying to do? Is try to get me to say that one of them was in the outfield? Ben Revere is retired on a 6-3 putout. And Cesar Hernandez is coming up. Very coy on your part, Matt. So Cesar Hernandez, who reached on an error his first time up, will be the batter. Matt, I'm going to go out on the limb and let you know that that's Carla to the right. Looking very bright and glittery. Hernandez takes low. It's 1-0. Out of play. There are a lot of people that felt like Taylor Youngman was a can't-miss pro prospect when he was in college. The guy was 32-9 at the University of Texas as a pitcher. And he threw fastball after fastball after fastball. In fact, he was awarded the Dick Hauser Award. Now, that award is given to, I mean, in reality, it's the Heisman Trophy of college baseball awards. It's the Hobie Baker in your neck of the woods, Matt, for the best college hockey player. This is for the best college baseball player. Golden Spikes, Dick Hauser Award. He was the winner of the Dick Hauser Award.
He also said when he was drafted, he was throwing 98, 99 miles an hour.
There's ball 4, and Hernandez draws a 1-out walk. Just to put it in perspective, some of the folks that have won the Dick Hauser Award, Chris Bryant, now with the Cubs, Buster Posey, of course with the Giants, Anthony Rendon a couple of years ago. I mean, it's a very prestigious award. I think it's hard for a pitcher sometimes to get that award because the position player obviously is out there every single game. Right. Here's Maikel Franco with 1 out. And he hits it foul, and it's 0-1. It's one way to get the ground screw not to put the tarp on the field again is hit a foul ball toward them.
True, but I'd rather see the ball hit the right center right now.
And they're showing him a lot of respect, too. Gomez is deep. Braun is deep. Ooh, slow curve. 0-2.
Kind of steps in the bucket right here. Slow curve ball. We're trying to wait on it.
And he pulls that one down the left field line. It's in for an extra base hit. Parra gets to it. Oh, no, it's not going to be an extra base hit. Franco better hurry up and get back. Cesar Hernandez just didn't think he could make it to third, and that caused Franco to put his brakes on halfway between first and second.
It's a curveball at the end of the bat, just inside. Parra does a nice job getting over and cutting it off pretty quick. But Cesar kind of hesitates a little bit because of the line drive, and then right there decides to shut her down.
I guess he couldn't gauge the height of it from where he was. So 1 away, runners on first and second instead of second and third, and here's Howard. Howard takes in the dirt, 1 ball, no strikes. Howard walked his only time up.
I'd still like to see that situation. When Hernandez has tremendous speed, we've seen it. He's very aggressive still on bases. Tried to get to third base with 1 out. Worst case scenario is you get thrown out and you still have Michael Franco at second base.
Yeah, I have to admit, looking up after watching the play, I was surprised that he was standing where he was and not over at third. 1-0 pitch to Howard, and he takes low, 2-0. The crowd waits on deck. Three and 1. And he tied him up. It's 3-2. Runners take their lead. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. And Howard fouls it back toward the Hall of Fame club. Actually went into the suite level, and it remains 3-2. Phillies trail at 2-1. Try to tie this ball game up. Maybe take the lead here in the third.
What do you think? Change up? He sat there and you could tell he was trying to get the grip on it.
Yeah.
Moving his hand, moving his glove. Finally stepped off.
He hasn't thrown many change-ups
I don't
tonight.
think he has thrown any yet. Probably not.
Decided to come back with another fastball. He's trying to get it up again where he got him to swing through it before. Inside, it may have hit him. Yeah, it did. Ryan Howard hit by a pitch to load the bases. And it brings Dominic Brown to the plate. That's an 8-pitch at bat for Howard.
They hit him right in the canoe.
I think it did. I think his gunboat is throbbing right now. Oh yeah, he's going to lose it now. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Jefferson, where health is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Valle Honda dealer or visit DelValleHondaDealers.com today. Rick Kranitz out to the mound to talk to his young right-hander. And Dominic Brown is going to be the batter with the bases loaded. Hernandez at third, Franco at second, Howard at first. The speediest of the three is the guy over at third.
See if they changed it up a little bit. Last time Dominic Brown was up, first 2 pitches fastball, then a curveball.
Well, they did change it up. He threw him a curveball first. It's a foul ball. Ball, 2 strikes to Brown with the bases loaded here in the third. And the curveball hits to the right side, gobbled up by Perez. They'll get the middle runner, but a run scores to tie the ball game up. So it's a 2-2 game. Put the ball in play, maybe something will happen, and that's exactly what Dominic Brown did. So a fielder's choice RBI for Brown. It's his 5th of the year.
Well, he makes a good adjustment. Gets a curveball out over the plate. Almost puts it in the hole at second base, but like you said, Tom, putting the ball in play, getting an RBI, time the game up 2-2.
And now the Phils have a chance to take the lead with Cody Ashe, who ripped a single to right field his first time up. Curveball, and it's 0-1. Guy's got some pretty good stuff.
He does.
How many times do you think people tried to change his mechanics?
I think it'd be almost literally impossible. So used to crossfiring his whole life.
With good velocity.
Yeah, with good velocity, good curveball. He should throw more changeups. He's going to have to.
Yeah, because he's basically been a 2-pitch pitcher in this game.
Fastball, curveball.
So at a Major League scoreboard, the Marlins, thanks to a 3-run inside the park home run for D. Gordon, lead the Giants 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th inning. First career inside the park home run for Gordon. If you want to watch it, it is all over the internet, and he was flying.
Where'd he hit it? Right center?
Yeah. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Goes from first, pitches low, and Dominic Brown will get second base. First stolen base for Dominic Brown. We mentioned he stole 10 bases down at Lehigh Valley.
Well, you want to talk about an unbelievable jump? That's a very good jump right there.
We had mentioned that he is a guy you can run against. Got him. Threw him a curveball that was a little slower than the one earlier, and he picks up his second strikeout of the night. Phillies tie it. They leave 2 in scoring position. We'll move to the 4th inning. Providing amazingly low prices on kitchen disposables, consumables, smallwares, and so much more from your new restaurant partner. Who but WB Mason. On to the top of the 4th inning. I mentioned during the outset of today's telecast that Ruben Amaro announced earlier that Pete Mackanin will be the interim manager for the rest of the year. So good news for Pete. And we've known Pete for a long time. He's one of the good folks that you'll meet in this game. As Freddie Galvis makes a wonderful play to throw out Aramis Ramirez one away. It got us thinking. Pete now, for the 3rd time in his major league career, is the interim manager. Pirates, Reds, and he kind of joked today that I don't think that's ever happened before. But we did a little research, and although there's never, in our research that we never found the term interim manager, there have been guys that have been managers, named managers in the middle of the season, more than Pete Mackanin, if you find that hard to believe. The great Rogers Hornsby, 5 times was named a manager during the season. Now, there were a couple occasions where he was a player manager. Trader Jack McKeon was named a manager, replacing somebody else in the middle of 5 different years. A couple times with the Marlins, once with the A's, I believe. One of the other times with the Padres. And then Billy Martin, who kept getting hired and fired by the Yankees. So, Pete, you're not there yet, but you're getting there. We couldn't be happier for him. Outside, 1-2.
No, we talked about it in the open. Great man, great baseball guy. Players enjoy being around him. And he speaks the truth, which is nice to hear.
Well, he certainly has done that the first few days he's been at the helm for the Phils, as Cody Ashley reads that one well off the bat. There are 2 outs. But based on the conversation yesterday that Andy McPhail had and Pat Gillick and John Middleton, it makes sense.
Right.
Because they're going to go out and look for somebody, if it's not Pete, after the season comes to a close. They're leaving their options wide open.
Right, and as they should. And with my comment about him telling the truth, I wasn't saying referring to Ryan Sandberg was not telling the truth. But what's on Pete's mind, he's going to say it.
Right.
Which is important. Players don't like to hear it. Don't like it, play better. That's the bottom line. If you make mistakes, he's going to say something about it.
Jason Rogers behind 0-1 to Cole Hamels. Rogers lined out to Ben Revere his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. And he waves at it, 1-2. There's a liner out to right field. Dominic Brown will make the catch. I don't think Cole Hamels liked that one all that much, but he gets the Brewers in order here in the 4th inning. He's retired the last 4 hitters, and we'll move to the bottom of the 4th here in South Philly. McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Well, the Phillies drew even 2-2 in the bottom half of the third, and now quickly they'll go back to work offensively in the home fourth. It'll be the bottom of the order: Carlos Ruiz, Freddie Galvis, and Cole Hamels. Against Taylor Youngman, the former first-round pick, 12th overall out of the University of Texas. Made his major league debut on the 9th of June. They were trying everybody. They kept circulating one pitcher after another up until it was finally his turn. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, a 4-1 win over Pittsburgh. And they said, why don't you stay for a while? 1 ball, 1 strike to Carlos. Ooh, that's a good pitch. He had him bending all over the place.
This is what you call a big 12-6 curveball straight down. 74-mile-an-hour curveball.
Tried it again. I think I've been more impressed with his curveball than his fastball tonight.
His curveball's been, he's 2 different types. He's getting that one he throws for a strike, and then the one he wants to bounce right behind home plate.
Down and away, 2-2.
It just seems when he wants to throw away to a righty and into a lefty, it seems like he's pulling everything and cutting it.
Carlos jumped at it and lofts it to shallow center. Gomez will make the catch for the first out. And 1 away for Freddie Galvis. Well, we mentioned that both these teams are playing with new managers. Craig Counsell took over for Ron Renicky. Of course, Pete took over for Ryan Sandberg. The clubhouse, I mean, they knew Craig Counsell because he played for the Brewers and played with some of these guys. And speaking of that, our Geico quote of the day comes from Jonathan Lucroy. I know Counsell was a hard-nosed player when he played. Being a former teammate of his, I know how he was when he played. I know he's a grinder, and he's a big team guy, which is what I love. I like that. There was some surprise because he had no managerial experience at all when he was given the job.
That's what you have coaches for. Having all that experience. New guys, new faces sometimes. It's a good thing to have.
Here's Segura at shortstop. And he throws out Galvis, 2 away. I think we've seen over the last few years that sometimes it's important to have a vast treasure chest of experience when it comes to managing. But sometimes you don't have to go to the minor leagues, or you don't have to be on a coaching staff in order to be successful. Whether he is or not, the jury's still out. Oh, and 1 to Hamels with 2 outs. 0-2.
Well, it also helps when you have a bench coach, Jerry Naron, who used to be a former MLB manager as well at the Texas Rangers, I believe. So you rely on those guys quite a bit.
Well, and Rick Kranitz, who we just saw there, the pitching coach, who's been around the block a time or 2.
As long as I have.
There's Rick to your left. And a strike 3 called. Hamels down looking. A 1-2-3 bottom of the 4th inning for Youngman. Phillies go down in order. We'll go to the top of the 5th inning and a 2-2 ball game. trivia quiz answer. All right, Matt, here we go. What two different positions did Robin Yount win an MVP?
Let's say shortstop and center field.
Shortstop is correct, and so is center field. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Brewers have been to one World Series, and Robin Yount and Paul Molitor helped lead them to that World Series. Wonder how the pizza is here tonight. Perez through the hole. He's got his second hit. Leadoff single here in the fifth. 9-game hitting streak after his triple his last time up. Photo night is Saturday, July 18th, when the Phillies take on the Miami Marlins. It's Apple Vacations Photo Night presented by Now Resorts and Spas. A free magnetic photo frame for all fans. Order your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Youngman shows bunt. Did he offer at it? No. That one's butted toward first. Howard's got it. The sacrifice is successful. 3-4. Top of the order. Gene Segura is coming up. He's 0 for 2. Well, Murph, Cole Hamels is trying to do something that not many Phillies starting pitchers have done in the month of June, and that's get a victory.
You're right about that. It's the subject of our T-Mobile game changer. We mentioned that coming into tonight, the Phillies have had only 2 wins this month by starting pitchers, Adam Morgan and Severino Gonzalez, but it's not unprecedented. You take a look, back in 1924, in 27 games since the month of September, the Phillies starting staff had just 1 win. It did happen 3 other times before this year, 2 wins in a month. Happened again in 1928. Back in 1945, and then again in 1997. And there you see it again in June of 2015. Just 2 wins and 15 losses for that starting staff in those 26 games. But as you mentioned, Cole Hamels can make that 3 tonight.
Segura takes a strike. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, let's hope that they don't duplicate that in the month of July. I mean, I know it's not. I know it's something that they've seen before in the organization, but it's a remarkable number.
It is.
'97 was not a good year, and I can't imagine the others were with that kind of win total. 2 balls, 1 strike to Segura. They say he went. I'll tell you, it looked like a pretty good pitch even with the cutter.
Well, you got the third base yelling no, first base yelling yes.
Yeah, I don't think
he's saying no.
Yeah, I don't think he went. I guess the pitch was a tad low.
Yep.
Toyota Major League scoreboard. The Cubs and the Mets facing off at Citi Field. Cubs win it 1-0. That's Caesar. 2 for 4, a double and an RBI. Mets have run into a little bit of a speed bump offensively. Their pitching's been good, obviously, but they've only scored 23 runs in their last 12 games. Hang with them. 2-2 pitch coming. And a breaking ball hit foul. Cesar Hernandez will back up on it, get his footing, and they're 2 away. Over to third base goes Perez. Tomorrow morning, Chris Pronger will be waking you up with Flyers talk, and Orioles insider Rich Dubrovnik will give you his take on the Phil's recent front office moves. Watch Breakfast on Broad, presented by Virtua Joint Replacement Institute, weekday mornings over on the Comcast Network.
Pronger, congratulations on the new inductee into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
I was going to say, did that surprise you?
No, not a bit.
Yeah, it was nice to see. Here's Lucroy, and Lucroy takes on the inside corner. They'll continue to talk hockey on Thursday. Coach Hackstall will be on with the folks for Breakfast on Broad. Talk about the differences between North Dakota State and Philadelphia. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Lucroy. In the dirt, Ruiz keeps it around the area, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think Coach Dave Hackstall will fit in just fine in Philadelphia.
Well, he ran a heck of a program.
That he did.
Three balls, 2 strikes to Lucroy with a runner at third. And he fouls another one off. Well, he's just a tough guy to get out. They struck him out his last time up.
The last time he struck him out was a elevated fastball, borderline strike ball. But that was a pretty good cutter right there, down and in. Down and in cutter, so.
Got it with a changeup. So he gets it for the second time tonight. 3rd strikeout overall for Hamels. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left over to third. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th in a 2-2 game. PhilliesCamps.com or call 610-520-3400 for more information. There's a lot of locations and many weeks to choose from. You get professional coaching, skill development for Phillies players, coaches, and baseball academy instructors. You also get an official Phillies Baseball Academy uniform. Call 610-520-3400 or again go to PhilliesCamps.com. I was going to try to keep talking to see if how long those kids could scream. But they would have won. Bottom of the 5th inning, top of the order is coming up for the Phillies against Taylor Youngman. Ben Revere is grounded out twice. Once to second, once to short. Phillies have only 2 hits. Single by Ashe and a single by Maikel Franco. That is it. Outside corner, 1-1.
Yeah, 2 hits. 2 hit by a pitch and 1 walk. An error. 2 errors, correct?
2 errors. Another one out toward the right side. And Revere is retired for the 3rd time tonight. And Cesar Hernandez is coming up. Cesar's been on base twice. What do you have on Ben Revere right now, Matt? Does it look like he's jumping a little bit?
It looks like he's coming out of his stance, which means he's going to hit, like what I mean, when you have a low crouch, you want to stay low the whole way through. Point of contact, he's coming up in that back leg, and that's why he's hitting the top of the ball and hitting some choppers.
He's got the bat. He's going to go down, go back into the cage. He's had 3 ground ball outs. Youngman has 8 overall. In the dirt, and it's even, 1 ball, 1 strike. Two.
Pretty close to take 2-2.
Very close. I wouldn't take it again.
No, I wouldn't either.
And he grounds it to the right side. A base hit for Cesar Hernandez. 5-game hitting streak. And he's on base for the 3rd time tonight. Maikel Franco's coming up. Phillies fans, next time you're looking for great seats, get to StubHub, where there are no surprise fees at checkout. That's right, on StubHub, the price you see is the price you pay. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of Phillies.com. We have to get Frank to get those toppings for our Turkey Hill ice cream. Imagine if that was sitting in the media lunchroom.
I like mine plain.
You like yours plain, nothing else?
Plain, nothing else.
Very selfish of you, Matt. Not looking out for everybody else.
I thought that was being nice of me to let you guys have my serving of it.
0-1 to Franco.
Yeah, actually, that'd be awesome. Okay, right here. Can I do,
Gentleman purchased the refillable cup, so he's going to refill his soda.
I imagine Juan Samuel reminded Cesar Hernandez about that quick move where he got picked off in the first inning.
Yeah, after reaching on the error, he was picked off. For a big guy, he got it over there pretty quick, too. There he goes. Pitch is low. Lucroy has no chance. 8 stolen bases for Cesar Hernandez. Half of them have come on this homestand.
He has been getting just tremendous reads on the pitchers. His first step's unbelievable. And really, these 8 stolen bases have been very easy stolen. Tom, I'm going to say if Youngman leaves one of those curveballs up, you're going to see a second deck shot over the Geico sign. Might not be this at bat.
Well, he was thinking along your way. His average dipped under 300 after yesterday's game. It's at 299 right now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He may have went. Yeah, he did. May have gone, I should say. And he's down on strikes for the second out.
Check. This is actually the first changeup he's thrown. He's won. First changeup of the game.
Well, 2 outs. That'll bring Ryan Howard to the plate. So, Murph, they need a clutch base hit, a clutch 2-out hit right here.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know when I say that the importance of those 2-out hits, those 2-out RBI hits, are evident, obviously, throughout Major League Baseball. But if you look at the Phillies, just their last 8 games, they've gone 4-4 in those games. In those 4 wins, if you look at how many times they got a clutch 2-out RBI, how about 11 times in those 4 wins? And in the losses, it happened just 3 times. It paints a picture, very clearly that those 2-out knocks that drive in runs are a big reason why teams win ball games. And when you're playing well and you're knocking them in, you're winning games. And when you're not winning as many games. So a big moment in this game with it all tied up and Ryan Howard at the plate.
Yeah, Howard tonight has been hit by a pitch. He's walked. The runner goes to third. Hernandez steals third base. Well, you'll hear this all the time in baseball. If you're going to go, you better make it.
You better make it, especially when you have Ryan Howard up. But he has a very good jump and just gets in there.
Well, Murph, those numbers also dictate the Phillies have scored more runs lately, which has been a good sign for this offense. This homestand alone, they're averaging a hair over 4 runs per game, which is a whole lot better than what they had been doing for the season.
And a 2-out knock is a backbreaker for a pitcher. You think you're on the ropes, you're going to get out of this, all of a sudden you come up with a big hit.
Dominic Brown's on deck. Three balls, 1 strike to Ryan Howard. And Howard hits a scorcher on 1 hop to Segura. Not much you can do about that. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left over at third. We've played 5, tied at 2 as we go to the 6th. is opening eyes all around Major League Baseball. At third base, Mikel's glove has been sensational, and his arm is fired like a cannon when called upon. His bat has not disappointed anyone, swinging to an average in the high 300s during the month of June. Franco's power and production has been plentiful, connecting for 3 home runs and 10 RBIs in the first 2 games of the Yankees series alone. His offense and defense has been special and are brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless.
I see you, bro.
Tied at 2 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Rain has started to fall again here at Citizens Bank Park. Can't imagine it's anticipated to be too much because the tarp is still covered down the third base line. Ryan Braun leads it off, and Braun takes a curveball. It's 1-0. Well, it's poncho time. Let's see who's the best at getting the poncho on. That gentleman came prepared.
Chewbacca!
It's a fly ball to right center field. Ben Revere makes the catch for the first out.
I think Cole realizes that he got away with one right there.
Might have, yeah.
I see Cole having a little smirk, and Braun realizing he misses a fastball out over the plate up in the zone.
And now Gomez. Gomez is 0 for 2. He's grounded out. He's also lined out. Lined into a double play, actually, his last time up. Bunts that one foul. All right, take your time. It's like the produce bags at the grocery store. Oh. Oh.
Throat punch.
Find the opening. There you go. Do it calmly. Cannot panic, Matt, when you're opening up a poncho.
But the problem is, by the time she opens it, stop ringing.
In the dirt, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And a strike 3 called, and Gomez, he knew it. Fooled on that changeup. 4 strikeouts for Hamels, and they're 2-way here in the 6th.
Well, that's a good changeup right here down the zone. Carlos Gomez was looking at a different pitch, realizing you can always watch the reaction of a hitter after they take a pitch down the middle by sitting on one pitch and they guess wrong.
Aramis Ramirez has 2 RBIs tonight. It's the only 2 runs for the Brewers. Came back in the first inning. One ball and 1 strike. Got him. Ball gets away from Ruiz. Can Carlos get to it and make the throw? He cannot. A strikeout and a wild pitch. That's 5 strikeouts for Hamels. Oh, it was a great pitch.
It's going to be a change up in the dirt. Carlos kind of went off his glove.
Yeah, I don't know if the hop caused that, if it's spun, or if he didn't get in the proper position. And here's Parra. Parra 0 for 2. He's a strikeout victim. That was back in the first. Fly to left his last time up.
It's going to pay attention to Ramirez at first base. He has one stolen base this year. That was back in the first inning.
Hamels just reached 100 pitches. Got him. Swung over top of that two-seamer. 6 strikeouts for Hamels. He strikes out 3 in the inning. Now let's see if the Phillies can get him some runs as we go to the bottom of the 6th here in Philadelphia. Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. Bottom half of the 6th inning here in Philadelphia. After an hour-plus rain delay. Folks sticking around to see Cole Hamels, who's been good tonight again. 2 runs, 5 hits, both runs in the first inning. He needs some run support. I know that's a statement we make quite often for him. Dominic Brown leads it off, and he takes a curveball and chops it to the right side. Perez charges. 1 out. Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place. Don't miss this 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, Tuesday, July 14th on Fox. All right, Cody Ashe is 1 for 2. Struck out his last time up. away outside. 2-1 to Cody.
Interesting pitch right there. 1-1. Decided to throw a changeup. He's only thrown about 2 or 3 this game.
It's almost like it's a show me pitch. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes pitchers have that. I'm with you though. He's going to need to fix that and throw it more effectively as his career progresses. But that pitch right there, that's been a good pitch.
It's such a good pitch because it's 74, 73 miles an hour. He's darting that fastball at 93, 92 inside to left-handers. It's so hard to stay back on it.
Here's the 2-2 to Ashe. There's that fastball. He lines it out toward left field. Parra makes the leaping grab. Now he's a 2-time Gold Glove winner. And just when you thought that ball was going to carry over his head, he's able to make the catch.
Well, the key with Parra in the outfield is he gets tremendous jumps on baseballs. A nice swing right there. You can see the really good timing leap. A nice catch. Right there, the initial jump going back. Quicker than a lot of people think, especially in the outfield.
Well, now Ruiz. Hamels will pitch the top of the 7th inning. He's just above 100 pitches.
Freddie, let's go back to this April May date, buddy. See you got it in you.
Brewers, meanwhile, have bullpen action as Youngman hovers near 100 pitches. That's Neil Kotz. We saw him last night. Now the 3-0 pitch. And Carlos rips one deep to left field. Parra turns. It is gone! First home run of the year for Carlos Ruiz. And he's just given the Phils a 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Fastball, out over top of it. Nice, quick, short, powerful swing. Good time for your first of the year.
Boy, it's been a long time coming for Ruiz. He makes the winner of Joyce Engel of Norristown. She just won $300 thanks to Ruiz. Freddie Galvis whacks the first pitch foul. It's 0-1.
Come on, Cole. Big smile. Come on, Cole. Do it for the ladies.
That one's hit foul again. It's 0-2. After Freddie Galvis, Cole Hamels, done with his modeling shoot, will come to the plate. He's throwing one curveball after another to Freddie Galvis. That one's hit back toward the middle, a base hit. So Freddie's aboard with 2 men down. Cole Hamels looking into the dugout as he strolls to the plate, trying to keep this inning alive and get the Phils some extra runs. The pitch count's in a good spot. He's got the lead now. There's no real reason to pinch hit for him at this point. Youngman, meanwhile, 102. The 5th inning was a burden for him, even though he didn't allow any runs.
Cole's due for a knock. He hasn't got one in a while.
There's a looper out towards shallow left. Segura will make the catch, and the inning is over. But the Phils take the lead. A solo home run by Carlos Ruiz has made this a 3-2 game as we head to the top of the seventh. I did miss that one. The Fanatic roll laid on top of the cylinder for the tarp. We take a look at our Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. 3-2 Phillies on top thanks to a home run by Carlos Ruiz. Cesar Hernandez has a couple stolen bases. He's walked. He's singled. Cole Hamels has got 6 so far. He's allowed 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. He will begin the 7th against the bottom of the Brewers order. It'll be Jason Rogers making his 13th start of the year. Brewers brought Rogers up after a quick start in AAA. He hit .360 during the first week in AAA. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Pete Buchanan hoping for his second win as the Phils manager. Do believe that ball got away from Cole. Corey Knebel warming up in the bullpen for the Brewers. Franco comes charging in and he throws him out. These lucky fans are tonight's Citizens 7. They were each receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. Coming into tonight's ball game, the Phillies offense had been held scoreless in 32 of Hamels' last 33 innings. Well, they've scored single runs in the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th tonight. So they've kind of changed that ratio. And they've also matched his run support over that time period. Look at that. 3 runs, 33 innings, previous 33, 3 runs tonight. Once hit foul. Well, if every other storm tonight is any indication, it's going to rain for about 35 seconds and then stop. Well, he's got that pitch working now, doesn't he? 7 strikeouts tonight for Hamels. I'd be interested going back to see, Matt, how many of his strikeouts have come on the changeup.
Well, the Perez one, that's definitely was a changeup there.
Ramirez a strikeout wild
Ramirez
pitch.
changeup, yep.
Parz is a 2-seamer.
Very good sinker right there. Or changeup, sorry.
Gomez's was a changeup.
Yep. Parz both were 2-seamers.
Here's Hector Gomez to pinch hit, and he swings at the first pitch.
Thank you.
Cesar Hernandez is under it, and the inning is over. A little different swing than what we saw the other day in batting practice. Side is retired in order. It's time to stretch here in Philadelphia. He threw out the first pitch. Really nice guy. Matt, did you step on top of a
yeah, I had a
couch?
Yeah, I did. I had there signed some autographs. We met him in the. Oh my lord!
Met him in our broadcast workroom.
Yeah, and he came in. I was like, okay. Well, Murph said he was going to interview him in the 3rd. I told him I was wrestling him in the 4th.
Yeah.
And then we posed for a picture, and I stood on the couch and was still shorter than he was.
Yeah, he's a big kid. He's a heck of a player. I think the Sixers made out big time in this year's NBA draft by getting him. I know they got a lot of big men, but I think he's going to be a heck of a player. See the rain falling here at Citizens Bank Park. Renegade storm. A lot of that going around today. So as we begin the bottom of the 7th inning, the Phillies up 3-2. And Corey Knebel will be the new pitcher. Matt, the only pitchers the Brewers can use tonight are guys that went to Georgetown High School in Texas.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, Corey Knebel, 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball at 97 tops out, and a curveball between 80 and 83.
0-1 pitch to Revere, and he hits it foul off his foot. It's 0-2. Knebel played high school baseball with Taylor Youngman at Georgetown High School.
Really?
Played college baseball with Taylor Youngman at Texas. And now
The show
is a teammate in the show. The 0-2 pitch. It foul. And it remains 2 strikes to Ben Revere. Over toward third. Ramirez has it. Flips from behind the bag. Not in time. And Revere is safe at first. So a leadoff infield single. Let's check in with Greg Murphy with the Major League Notebook. Murph.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Well, it's brought to you by St. Joseph's University. It's a big day in Major League Baseball this Thursday, July the 2nd. It's the start of the international player signing period, which means basically that's when Major League Baseball teams can begin signing players that live outside the United States, Canada, or Puerto Rico. So the young men and the men around the world that want to come and play Major League Baseball, this is the day that they can first get signed. There's a pool of money each team gets based on their record from last year, and that's how you can sign those players as the rain begins to fall once again. So the draft is behind us, but that doesn't mean that teams aren't going to start adding more talent into the organization. That can happen on July 2nd. And how about the numbers that Chris Sale is putting up right now, guys? He just became the second player in Major League Baseball history, joining Pedro Martinez, to have 8 consecutive games that he has pitched where he has struck out 10 or more batters. Only the second time that's ever happened in Major League Baseball. It is a remarkable feat. He had 11 strikeouts tonight against the Cardinals in the 6th inning to make it 8 consecutive. And you know what? He can make it 9 the way he's throwing right now. So very impressive with Chris Sale of the Chicago White Sox. Guys?
Yeah, he is dominant.
Murphy, you can back up again and stop raining.
Yeah, it only lasts for about 15 seconds, and it stops, and then starts again.
Phillies are running all over Jonathan Lucroy. Another stolen base for Ben Revere. And he's at second base. Hernandez squares. Takes a strike. It's 1-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Trying to get the extra run home. Ken Giles is warming up in the bullpen. Hamels is being congratulated by his teammates. That one's foul territory, third base side. Ramirez can't get there. You can fill out your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now at Phillies.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Phillies.com. There's Ken. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, says the third base umpire, Mark Carlson. So Hernandez strikes out. 1 gone here in the 7th. And Michael Franco is coming up.
Some umpires will say yes, some umpires will say no. Proper call.
Well, now Michael Franco is 1 for 3. Grounded out to third, singled, and struck out. Pulls that one over to third. Big hop for Ramirez. He looks Revere back to the bag. 2 gone. comes Craig Counsell, and they're going to go to the left-hander with Ryan Howard coming up. So we'll have a pitching change here at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies lead it by 1 in the bottom of the 7th inning, hoping to get another run home. A little extra insurance for the Phillies bullpen. We'll be back right after this. Mason, providing amazingly low prices on kitchen disposables, consumables, smallwares, and so much more. From your new restaurant partner, who but W.B. Mason. So pitching change for the Brewers. Last night Neil Kotz came on and was part of a bullpen that pitched some scoreless baseball. And tonight he's on again to face Ryan Howard here in the home 7th. Howard tonight is 0 for 1. He walked. He was hit by a pitch. He grounded out to shortstop. The ball right on the nose his last time up.
Yeah, he did.
I said ground out to shortstop. Segura was on the right side. It was a one hopper that he picked.
Kotz loves to throw sliders to left-handers.
There you go. There's the first one. Two things I think you'd be crazy not to incorporate into your game if you're a left-hander: a slider,
Pickoff
and a pickoff move.
I agree.
That one was on the inside part of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's a good swing, better approach. Ryan got his front toe down a little earlier that time. Helps him recognize the pitch.
And he got him. Howard strikes out. And the Phillies leave one in scoring position here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So no runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We'll go to the 8th. Toyota take you. Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. And by WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. Odubel Herrera is going to come into the ballgame to play center field for the Phillies as we go to the top of the 8th inning. And that prompts Ben Revere to move to left field. So Cody Ashe is lifted from this ballgame. Herrera will bat in Ashe's spot. So he's due up second in the 8th inning. Ken Giles takes over for Cole Hamels. Giles 3-1, a 1.62 ERA. The line on Hamels, 7 innings, 5 hits and 2 earned runs, 1 walk and 7 strikeouts. Well, Matt, it's time now for our Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Well, comes back in the 3rd inning. Carlos Gomez, it's a line drive to Ryan Howard's right. Makes a nice catch. Catches it in the air before the ball hits the dirt. It shows his speed right here. Gets up. Can't, like, reflexes getting up. Not sure why he was chasing him. All you do is touch the first base bag, but that's your defensive play of the game. Brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Segura leads it off. It takes high. It's 1-0. Segura tonight is 0 for 3. He's grounded out 3 times. Twice to Hernandez, once to Galvis at short. Inside, 2-0.
I heard your mom almost named you Corduroy.
111 pitches for Cole Hamels.
Khaki Segura.
He swings at the 2-0 pitch and fouls it back. It's 2-1. Brewers acquired Segura from the LA Angels in a deal that sent Zach Greinke to the Angels. Greinke then became a free agent, now is with the Dodgers. Big slider, it's 2-2. Fly ball left field. Ben Revere just moved from center to left. Will give way to Odubel Herrera, and there's 1 out. Odubel's thinking, I haven't played in a long time. I'm going to get everything I can.
It must get difficult at times, though, for Ben. So used to being the captain in the outfield, going after baseballs all the time, realizing that he gets to a fly ball easily, and you get called off by a Rule 5 guy, which is nothing wrong with that.
Doesn't make him a bad person.
No, it doesn't. Makes him a very good player.
Lucroy 0 for 2, couple strikeouts. Two 2-0 to Lucroy. That one's fouled over the Phillies dugout.
You know, a number I like looking at Hamels tonight with the 111 pitches. He had 8 ground ball outs, which is nice. Means he has good movement on his fastball. Downhill tilt on his changeup.
I don't know if he'll agree with this or not. I just thought his changeup just got, I mean, it's always his best pitch, but it got so much better as the night went on.
And really, Cole throughout the night was a 2-pitch pitcher. Didn't throw very many curveballs at all.
Threw enough, though.
Yeah. But he locked in, and I agree. He locked his changeup in.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Lucroy. And a fastball fouled back to the screen. 98 from Ken Giles. It's rising for him. A 1.60 ERA. The combination of Giles and Papelbon has been one of the best 8th inning, 9th inning guys combinations that we've seen in the National League this year. And he got him. He went after him with the slider. And Lucroy strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. Pennsylvania Auto Theft Prevention Authority travel mug, free to fans 15 and older, will be given out on Sunday, July 19th, when the Phillies take on the Miami Marlins. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Ryan Braun has 2 hits tonight.
Hey, Ryan, you suck.
1 to the infield, 1 to the outfield.
Another heater at 98 miles an hour. Still want to see that 100-mile-an-hour fastball again.
He's getting closer to it.
He is.
It's a late swing by Ryan Braun, and it makes the count even 2-2. Back toward the middle, a base hit right over the second base bag. So the tying run is aboard, and Carlos Gomez is coming up. All right, now how would you pitch Carlos Gomez, Matt? I would think the way he's been swinging that you throw more sliders than fastballs.
Well, he's going to be aggressive. He's going to be very aggressive right now. He does have that big swing, little loop swing. I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say elevate fastballs.
Okay.
I think the slider goes down into his. Now, a good slider, of course, he's going to swing and miss.
Man, he overpowered him with that fastball, 98.
Well, and that's one thing right now, and I can guarantee Carlos Gomez is thinking, okay, here comes 98 miles an hour. I'm going to swing 103. I'm going to hit this ball off the scoreboard. Stay belt high, a little higher. All fastballs will strike him out.
Yeah, he wasn't even close to that one.
Man, I hope I'm right. I just like to see power pitchers that throw that hard and hitters that swing that hard. Keep on throwing fastballs. Hey, there
Lost
goes
his
the
helmet.
helmet.
0-2. Where's Torrey Hunter? And the chin strap.
Now let's go back to the point where I was saying good sliders will get them. You know, if you throw a slider and hang it down the middle knee high, you're going to look for a new baseball.
Braun leads off first. The count is 0-2.
Step off.
Swing and a miss. Time was called, though. Carlos called time. And Braun goes back to first.
Well, I'm thinking that he's calling time because he sees Braun inching off at first base. Carlos is telling him, hey, step off.
Yeah, so he may have been telling Giles to step off, and the home plate umpire thought he was calling for time.
Well, I mean, he might have been saying step off, and then he might have said time.
Now, if you're the home plate umpire, in this case it's Mike DeMuro, Braun's going. I don't know how you can call time. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Carlos probably called time.
Do you think he's called it before?
Yeah.
Okay. 0-2 pitch off the end of the bat.
Braun had that walk-in lead.
Right.
And he showed that great camera side view. He wanted to go so bad. And just Giles is focusing on Carlos.
He pulls that one into left field, a base hit. Braun around second will hold up there. And that puts runners on first and second with 2 men down. And Gerardo Parra, or excuse me, Ramos Ramirez is coming up.
Slider right over the plate. Carlos strong enough to stay back and get that out in front of home plate off the end of the bat. You know, I think will come with more experience of no balls, 2 strikes, a very aggressive hitter. Do not need to throw him a strike. Bounce it, high fastball, anything.
Yeah, there's a good chance he would have swung.
Yep.
So now Ramirez, who has 2 RBIs tonight, he's 1 for 3. With runners on first and second here in the 8th. First pitch is on the inside corner, a slider. That one's hit back toward the middle, a base hit. Braun's around third, heading home. Going to third is Gomez. And he'll get there sliding. We are tied up at 3 here in the 8th inning. First and third with 2 outs now and 3 RBIs for Ramos Ramirez.
Check the location. Carlos wants it away. Comes back out over the middle of the plate. Even though Ramirez has been struggling this year, still a very good fastball hitter.
First run that Ken Giles has allowed since the 3rd of June. He had gone 12 innings, had 18 strikeouts without allowing a run, and now going to have to bear down to get Gerardo Parra with Broxton, the right-hander, Will Smith, the left-hander, warming in the pen. Think about time being called to Gomez with 2 strikes when he swung through that slider that would have ended the inning. Oh, 0-1 to Parra. Once again, a Phillies starting pitcher will not get a victory. For Hamels, winless since the 23rd of May. No balls, 1 strike to Parra.
It's a nice block on Carlos's part right there. Smothers it, keeps it in front of him.
Chopper foul, just foul. And it remains 1-2. And he stays alive as he fouls it off. 28 pitches now for Giles. Phils and the Brewers tied at 3. Jason Rogers waits on deck. That's 33 RBIs, by the way, for Ramos Ramirez. Not hitting for average at all, but he's been somewhat productive.
That he has.
Throw over to first base. Better be careful because Gomez is really dancing over at third.
Well, this is a situation. Ramirez tries to steal second base. Go right ahead.
That one's fouled back again toward the Hall of Fame club.
Because neither infield, second base, or short are going to cover on the throw. His 32nd pitch of this inning.
It's a lot of pitches for Ken Giles.
Yes.
Off the hands. And we'll do it again. Parra's fighting here against Giles. Phillies 33-1 in games in which Giles and Papelbon have both pitched. Now the run will be off from first. Phone may ring momentarily in the bullpen. Actually, Araujo is going to start the throw, it looks like, or Garcia. Ramirez goes from first, and ball 4. Giles can't believe it. He thought that was over for a strike. At 11 pitch at bat, the bases are now loaded. Ruiz will take a stroll out just to give him a moment to collect himself. All of this with 2 outs. Now they're going to bring Adam Lind up to pinch hit.
See the high location slider.
It's been a ball most of the night.
It has.
All right, so no lefty warming up for the possibility of Lind coming in. It's loaded now for Adam Lind, who will be announced as a pinch hitter. Adam Lind has hit in 9 straight games. He's hitting over 400 during that time. Batting here with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Outside 1-0, and now a lefty is going to start to throw in the pen. Jake Diekman will start the throw. Only 1 run is scored, but Giles has had to work hard during this 9th inning. Ball 3.
Come on, Ken, take it easy, buddy. Get off a strike. Let's go.
Boy, this inning is unraveled. I think Giles may be running out of gas. He's at 37 pitches.
Let's go, Giles. You got it.
3 balls, no strikes, bases loaded. Tied at 3. And there's ball 4, and the Brewers take the lead. What a strange, uncharacteristically wild inning for Ken Giles. Pete Buchanan's coming out. He's going to have to make a double switch. Darren Ruff will come in for Ryan Howard as the Brewers lead it by 1 here in the top of the 8th inning. Hernan Perez is scheduled to be the hitter for the Brewers. And Luis Garcia is coming in for the Phils. A pitching change here at Citizens Bank Park. Phillies trail it 4-3 after having a 1-run lead to begin the inning. Have scored a couple of runs. They lead it 4-3. And the Phillies have taken Ken Giles out of the game, and now Luis Garcia will come in. 38 pitches for Giles. That ties his career high. So Garcia comes in 2-2 at 3.38 ERA. And he will face Hernan Perez. Perez takes inside. It's 1-0. Carlos Ruiz's home run in the bottom of the 6th inning gave the Phils a 1-run lead. And now the Brewers have retaken the lead here in the 8th. And Perez taps it foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Scooter Gennett is in the on-deck circle. Check swing. He went according to the home plate umpire, and it's 1-2. Well, now the Brewers have the game where they want it because of their bullpen. Will Smith is warming up in the pen for them. He's their setup guy, at least one of their setup guys. And then Francisco Rodriguez is their closer. Out of play.
Another good block by Chooch, but I think that was a painful one.
That's why Mike DeBureau gave him some extra time.
Yes.
Well, he got him with a slider, and the side is finally retired. 8 men came to the plate in the inning, and the Brewers scored 2 runs. 44 total pitches between Garcia and Ken Giles. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Phils trail it by 1 here in Philadelphia. Tomorrow and Thursday, and after the ball games, the Xfinity fireworks shows will take place. Tickets can be purchased for both games by going to Phillies.com. This year's musical track is recorded by the Philadelphia Orchestra. Changes for the Brewers, there are a handful of them. Adam Lynn stays in the ball game to play first. Scooter Gennett is in the game to play second. And Hernan Perez is over at third for Ramos Ramirez. Will Smith, who has not been scored upon in 16 consecutive outings, will take over out on the mound. Will Smith 4-0, 1.24 ERA. Jeff Francoeur will pinch hit for Dominic Brown.
Will Smith, very good fastball, upper 90s, 97 miles an hour. Curveball and a change.
First pitch is outside, 1-0. It'll be Francoeur, Odubel, Herrera, and Ruiz. In the dirt, 2-0. Francoeur overall hitting .259 with 5 home runs. Big rip, and it's 2-1. 23 runs batted in. Ball over the Phillies dugout, heading toward the lower level, and it remains 2-2, or now it moves to 2-2.
You got it, Frenchie. Right over the
Jeffers is starting to throw in the pen, the big right-hander. He and Smith have kind of shared the setup roles for the Brewers. And now it's 3-2. Trying to get a base runner on. Odubel Herrera waits on deck. The Phils trying to come from behind. They haven't had a whole lot of success when trailing after 7 innings. Or I should say going into the 8th inning. That one is rolled towards short. Base hit for Francoeur. Jeff will stop at first. A leadoff single here at the bottom of the 8th inning. Well, sometimes the spray charts tell you one story, and then the batter does a totally different thing. Segura was shaded over toward the hole, and that one went back toward the middle more.
Well, and I think the spray charts sometimes can be thrown out the window because certain pitchers throw a lot harder than other guys. But we'll take it. Yeah, this can't be very fun to try to bunt in this situation.
Odubel squares, takes outside, 1-0. Totally different stance for Odubel when he's setting up to bunt. Nowhere near as open. Ruiz is on deck. You wonder if they'll go to Jeffress with Ruiz and then Freddie Galvis and Ruff due up. Odubel bunts it foul. That may have been ball 2.
Nice play by Will Smith there. It's like a little alley-oop.
I don't know where that ball would have gone, how far it would have gone, or whether Francoeur would have been able to advance. I doubt he would have been. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Herrera still squares, and he bunts it. And Perez is up with it. Sacrifice is successful. 4th sacrifice of the year for Odubel Herrera. Now the tying run is at second base. Let's see who Carlos will face. I mean, Smith is the kind of guy that can get lefties and righties out. Carlos took 244 plate appearances since his last home run.
Yeah, he came on a 3-0 fastball. Nice easy swing. Better bat speed compared to the last couple of days. And first home run of the year.
First home run since the end of last season. Francoeur leads off second. That one was shot put it up to the plate, and it's 1-0. Phillies 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position tonight. Three balls, no strikes.
Green light.
Got the green light before. I don't know if he'd get it here.
I do.
Think so?
Yeah.
And he takes ball 4. That puts 2 on. With 1 out, Freddie Galvis strolls to the plate. Papelbon is loosening for the Phillies in their pen. Jeffress is ready to go for the Brewers in their bullpen. Right-handed side is the natural side for Freddie Galvis. Freddie take it all the way. It's 1-0. Down the right field line, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. That one's pulled into left field, a base hit. Francoeur will have to stop at third. And the bases are now loaded with 1 man down. Freddie Galvis 2 hits tonight. Darren Ruff is due up. Will the Brewers go to a right-hander? Here comes Craig Counsell, and yes, he will.
Nice job by Freddie getting the ball up in the zone. You know, French, you realize it's a line drive. You have to freeze in that situation. Last thing you want to do is get caught off on a line drive double play. But now we have the bases loaded, and Mr. Ruff's up.
All right, so a pitching change for the Brewers. They'll bring in the hard-throwing right-hander to face Darren Ruff. We'll be back right after this. It breaks down Cole Hamels' performance tonight, Ken Giles' performance tonight, and the rest of the Phillies. And the Brewers match up only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Post-Game Live. Phillies are hoping that it's a happy recap. They have the bases loaded and 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. They trail it 4-3. And Darren Ruff is due up, and he'll face Jeremy Jeffress. 2-0 with a 3.09 ERA. He also pitched in last night's game.
He also throws 97. Very good arm as well.
Francoeur is over at third base, catching up with Mark Carlson. That's the tying run. The go-ahead run is at second base. I should say Francoeur's at third, catching up with Mark Carlson. Ruiz is at second base. Sees the go-ahead run. And Freddie Galvis at first. Darren Ruff up for the first time. Fastball way upstairs, 96 on that one. And after one pitch, he deserves a meeting. I believe an umbrella fell on the field out left center field. Carlos Gomez went to get it. See Darren splits between lefties and righties. Dramatically different. More chances. That one's hit toward third. That could be two. There's one. And what a play by Adam Lind over at first base. And around the horn, 5-4-3 double play. And give some credit to Scooter Gennett because Freddie Galvis was bearing down on him at second base. And the side is retired. Phillies threaten here at the bottom of the eighth. They do not score. This double play, this is a huge play right here. Perez starts it. Gennett eats up Freddie Galvis, and Adam Lind eats up that one hopper. And we'll go to the top of the ninth in a one-run game. Out in the outfield after he pinch hit, reached on the base hit. Luis Garcia stays in the ball game and will face Scooter Gennett. Well, Craig Counsell rolled the dice again, brought in the right-hander to face Darren Ruff, and hey, listen, the Brewers did everything right on that double play.
They did. I mean, it was right decisions. Scooter stayed in there at second base. Hats off to Freddie Galvis for coming in very hard, and Adam Lind with a very nice pick.
Scooter Gennett takes a breaking ball, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Gennett was in the on-deck circle when the top of the 8th inning came to a close, came on to play second base, helped turn that double play. He was really helped out by Adam Lind at first with a heck of a scoop. 2 balls, no strikes. Cesar Hernandez will backhand in shallow right. 1 out.
Well, here's that double play that lasted the last inning. Perez makes the right decision going around the horn. Ball hit right at him. You see Freddie Galvis going in very hard to second base. You know, and that's the key right there, is knowing where you're going as soon as the ball is hit and knowing your base runner. But Adam Lynn, a very nice pick at first base.
Very nice pick, and then even to stay on the bag, the way that throw was going. Here's Segura. Segura takes outside. Well, Lynn was just brought in to pinch hit. He walked and forced in a run. One ball, one strike on a slider. Shallow right field. Cesar Hernandez and Jeff Francoeur, and Francoeur will make the catch for the second out. Phillies will face Francisco Rodriguez in the bottom of the 9th inning. There is Francisco. Jonathan Lucroy has struck out 3 times tonight. There's a line drive base hit it to center field right off the end of the bat. So a 2-out single, and Ryan Braun will bat once again. Braun singled and scored in the 8th inning. He has 3 hits tonight. It's his 4th 3-hit game of the season. His average up to 272. There's a base hit down the right field line going to the corner. Lucroy is on his way to third, and he's being held by Ed Cedar. Great job by Francoeur to get that one in. A 4-hit night for Ryan Braun. And for the 2nd straight night, the Brewers have reached double digits in hits.
Well, this is a nice piece of hitting right here. Fastball up in the zone, but it's a better defensive play down in the corner. Frenchie knowing the ballpark very well. Plays a ricochet, hits the cement, gets it in very quick, putting the pressure on the third base coach to hold up the runner.
Well, Bob McClure is going out to talk to Garcia. What do they want to do? Do they want to face Carlos Gomez? Or do they want to face a pinch hitter? That's the decision. Right now, the pinch hitter is Shane Peterson. He's out in the on-deck circle. They do have Diekman throwing in the pen. Well, game 3 is coming up tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on Comcast Sportsnet. Fireworks afterward, brought to you by Xfinity. Gomez hitting .273. I'll tell you, his at bat, his last time up was a huge one.
Yep.
Because there were 2 strikes. Giles had him struck out, but time was called as Braun was leaving first. He bunts that one foul, and it's 0-1. Home plate umpire Mike DeMuro saw Carlos Ruiz wave. He may have said something too. Oof. Watch your hands here.
It almost hits his top hand right there.
All right, so same situation as before, Matt. Don't throw him a strike. He might offer at it.
Yep.
Back toward the middle, knocked down by Garcia. Throws to first, inning is over. Brewers lead 2. Their lead is at 1. Last chance for the Phillies when we come back. The top of the order is due up, down by 1. Wondered if Aramis Ramirez had anything left in the tank. Well, in this series, he does.
Well, he does. The first inning is a base it up with a 2-run single in the first to make the game 2-0. We get versus Cole Hamels. Then in the 8th inning, Giles hits an RBI single up the middle to tie the game at 3-3. When in doubt, you can still hit a fastball. Those are your WB Mason deliveries of the game.
So it's 4-3. Brewers on top, and Francisco Rodriguez will come in to face the top of the order. It's Ben Revere, Cesar Hernandez, Maikel Franco. 16 saves, 16 opportunities for Francisco. He's got 21 straight converted saves. Ben Revere reached on an infield hit his last time up. Corners are in. Perez, the third baseman. Lynn, the first baseman. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes.
I like it. You're faking a bunt. All of a sudden now the corner infield's moved back. Adams moving back a little bit, but your third baseman creeps in. Just gives you more holes to hit.
Just a bit outside, 2-0. Pitcher spot is due up 4th in this inning. Phillies have used Herrera, they've used Ruff, and they've used Francoeur. So Blanco would be given a chance to pinch hit. 3 balls, no strikes. Phillies trail after 8. They're 1-46 this year. And there's ball 4. Ben Revere works out a leadoff walk. Matt, you mentioned it the other day. He's got more walks this year than last year.
Yeah, man, that was all you.
And we're
That was all you.
not even at the midway point.
Now you're in a situation where you have a few choices. You want to go ahead and sacrifice bunt early. Rodriguez does not hold runners very well. You give an opportunity to steal second base. Or Hernandez is swinging the bat very well. Hit and run. My guess would be bunt.
That's what Perez is thinking. Hernandez does square already. And a throw over to first base. Up high, that's 4. That's excuse me, 5 straight out of the strike zone. And he bunts it right in front of the plate. Lucroy's throw sails into center field. Runners on first and second with nobody out. I do believe they'll score a sacrifice for. No, they won't. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think a good throw that would have had Ben at second base.
E2 fielder's choice.
E2 fielder's choice.
Error number 3 for the Brewers tonight. Second error of the night for Lucroy. Here's Maikel Franco with 2 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And he rips it. Foul. One ball, 1 strike. 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Franco tonight has a base hit. That was back in the second. He's grounded out twice. He struck out once. Andres Blanco has come out in the on-deck circle to pinch hit. Inside again, 2-1. This Brewers bullpen in the month of June, a 2.39 ERA. It's been their best month out of the 3. Three balls, 1 strike. Time to zone it. The runners take their lead off first and second. 3 balls, 1 strike to Franco. And he waves at a breaking ball. changeup.
3-1, thinking you're getting a heater.
Oh, yeah.
Pulls the string. See how far out in front he is.
And that was a high changeup, too.
Say if you throw it 3-1, you're going to throw it 3-2.
Yeah. Again, nobody out. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. He did throw it.
That was the ball. Blancos, get up there and let's do it.
And now Andres Blanco, Phillies' best pinch hitter.
See the grip right there. Change up. Down the zone. Swung at ball 4.
Phillies had two on with nobody out. Now 2 on with 1 man down. It'll be Blanco, then Jeff Francoeur. They had the bases loaded in the 8th. They hit into a double play to end the inning. Blanco takes a strike. It's 0-1. 3 straight changeups. Four straight. I think I know the answer to this, but would you sit changeup at any point against him?
Yeah, you could. I mean, he's very hard to.
Would you?
No, I wouldn't.
It's 0-2 to Blanco. Threw it again, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. His fastball is topped out at 91 in this inning.
The only reason why I would not sit changeup, me personally, was 1, I wasn't a real good changeup hitter, and 2, if he throws his changeup where he wants it to be, it's still very hard to hit. But I would sit fastball and think about getting jammed. That way I stay back a little longer.
Little dribbler foul, remains 1-2. Well, he's got a good one going tonight.
Yeah, he does.
After walking Revere on 4 pitches, he's decided to go changeup after changeup after changeup. Out toward left field. It's not that deep. Parra on the run, coming over, gets there, makes the catch, fires to second, not in time. He has a really strong arm, and you just saw it right there. I think Craig Counsell's thinking I might want to look at this one. That was awfully close at second base. Here we go. Take a look at it. Ben's too far.
Yeah, he's about 3/4 away. Parra comes up and throws a strike. Close.
Really close. Yep, he got there. Jeff Francoeur singled in his only at bat. Two on to start the inning with nobody out. And now 2 outs. And Francoeur pulls it foul. Runners lead off. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Francoeur is ready. Rodriguez is ready. Outside, back-to-back fastballs. It's 1-2. Fastball had some cut to it. Toyota Major League Scoreboard, Mike Montgomery has a no-hitter through 6 for the Seattle Mariners. He had a shutout in his last outing. He's walked 3. He's hit 1 guy. And the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He got him. Jeff Francoeur down on strikes, and the Brewers have hung on to win Game 2 by a final score of 4-3. The Phillies got the first 2 batters aboard to start the inning and could not advance them across the plates. Another tough one to swallow for the Phils. They lose it 4-3. Our Chevrolet players of the game, Ryan Braun and Aramis Ramirez. They combined for 6 hits in 9 at-bats, 2 runs scored, and 3 RBIs. I say this is a tough one to swallow. There have been a lot of them that have been tough to swallow. This one is difficult because the Phils had the lead. They relinquished it, but had opportunities to push runs across the plate in the last 2 innings. Only 1 hit tonight with a runner in scoring position. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this.